boy.
How you doing?
Doing good. How are you?
Good.
I'm ready whenever you guys are.
What goes into being good at the goal line like you guys are?
It always starts with mentality, the attitude you got to have. That ball gets down that low in the red zone, you want to keep them out. Obviously, you can't worry about the plays that happened beforehand, however they got down there. So the attitude is just defend whatever amount of field that we have and keep them out. And if we can hold them to 3, then that's a win for us. Obviously, we got the 2 takeaways down there, so those are just huge monumental plays that we want to have. But we've talked about that mindset and that standard uh, really since the springtime. Don't concede anything. Continue to compete and trust in your teammates' execution of the call, and great things will happen for you.
Josh Jones gets an opportunity with Jamal down. What have you kind of seen with him since he joined you last year? And he talked about being really enthused about having this opportunity in front of him now and all of that, and what he brings to the table for you guys.
When he first got in here last year, a lot of it was just getting to learn his teammates, coaches, and whatnot, and kind of get familiar with the place. And we started to learn him a little bit. Really liked, where he was. And but obviously, since he came back this spring, and it was great having him back because we were really excited about his potential and his future, and getting him back in the building, and it's worked out great. High energy guy, loves to play the game, really great with his teammates, and really, really good communicator. A lot of times you label the linebacker as being the quarterback of the defense, but the safeties control a lot too. And so you need a guy who's a great communicator, and obviously Quandre's that, but Josh does the same things from the communication standpoint. So he's done really, really well from the get-go and been able to play in multiple spots too.
We've heard about how important safeties are and how integral they are in this new defense. What do you miss with, or how big of a wrench does Jamal's absence throw into that?
I mean, it hurts because the guy's a great football player. I've said that before. And, so it's a shot. You don't have a lot of guys that's like that. But, like I said, we have so much confidence in Josh and Ryan and their ability. Ryan's obviously proved to us last year he can come out there and help us and do things, and Josh has shown that too. So it sucks, hate it for Jamal. But at the same time, for these guys, they can take advantage of the opportunity, and they've shown they can do that.
Ryan Neal was a dime mostly last year. What role might he be now? Different scheme, a little different view.
I mean, he can play dime. He can play in the back end. Josh has played, obviously, safety, as we already know, but he can play the dime spot as well. The one thing is all these guys have been dual trained in multiple positions, so there's versatility within the scheme.
What did you make of the performance just overall on Monday night? Things you liked, things you wanted to see get a little better, and all of those things?
Obviously, the thing I'm proud about is 16 points. You do that, you'll lead the NFL, and that'll take you a long way. Proud of how hard we played, how physical we played, the energy, the juice, all those things was outstanding. The big thing is we need to clean up some details coverage-wise, and also with our run fits, way too many yards. Like I said, we're not going to be soft and mushy and things of that nature, and there was things that we gave them just of us not being disciplined with our responsibilities, coverage technique-wise. So that's us as responsibility as coaches to get that stuff fixed, and the players, being accountable to that too. We've already made those corrections, so we push on and we clean that stuff up, but keep the same things going that we showed as well.
How good was Cody Barton's play on that first down right before the field goal, the screen pass?
On the screen?
Yeah.
That was an unbelievable play. I mean, those are the ones for like a guy that's not really a young guy anymore. Now he's in the year 4, I believe it is, for Cody, if I'm not mistaken. So those are the ones you want to start seeing that guy make. The recognition and IDing certain things, and whether it's recognizing a formation, a backfield set, something a guy does pre-snap, for him to be able to go trigger and make the play that fast, that's really encouraging. So he did a lot of positive things in that game, but he got things also that he knows he wants to clean up the play even better, which that excites you for his future.
You mentioned cleaning up the run game. Big challenge this week with San Francisco, what they do in the running game.
Absolutely. Running quarterback and with all the read option and things of that nature. So old school option football. It forces you to be really, really disciplined. But the one thing about San Francisco is they're a physical football team. So not only do you have to match the schematic part of it and be responsible for your job in the run game, but also you got to match the physicality. So I always love playing the Niners for that reason. It's a physical matchup.
Them a bunch since you got here. How would you describe a game with the 49ers? Like, what do those kind of contests bring to the table? And
Slugfest. It's a slugfest. Both teams that love to run the football, teams that play hard, fly around and want to hit you. So it's going to be like that for 60 minutes, and it's always a super competitive game. So I enjoy these ones. Playing against them, a lot of respect for the organization and what they do.
On the Jerry Jeudy touchdown, what's the teaching point for Kobe Bryant there?
Don't lose your leverage. That's the big thing, with that one. And then, they caught us in a good, formationally, they caught us in something there and they made a good play. I hate it for the kid, but I know he has the mental fortitude to bounce back from that. And we'll be okay. It's just like that stuff is going to happen. Great players in this league get beat on plays. We hate to see it, but it's going to happen. How a guy rebounds and responds is what shows you that guy's character. Kobe's going to do that at a high level, same way Tariq did coming back off the Pittsburgh game. You want to have mental toughness and have amnesia at that position. Those things are going to happen sometimes, and you got to be able to move forward.
And what do you see from Tariq Monday night?
A lot of good stuff, man. I mean, the thing I was curious about when we got into this is the physical challenges. We know he can cover and he's sticky and he's going to challenge stuff, but when people try to get the ball out on the perimeter on the edges, are you going to take on blocks, get off blocks? Because in this league, they're going to force corners to tackle. You have to be able to do that, and he did that very well. So I'm excited about that for him and showing the physicality and whatnot. The two penalties, one of them, I say is 50-50. The second one, he knows, just be clean with your hands. That guy can run with anybody, so there's no reason to ever grab. He knows that. It's something to be able to learn from as a young player, and he's going to keep getting better and better.
What did you think of the pass rush as a whole?
Inconsistent. There's times it was rolling really good, and other times it was kind of stagnant. Some of the stuff, though, the plan was with going in versus Russell was, don't go flying all up the field and out of control and give him rush lanes. A lot of his magic happens is when you don't control the pocket. You want to collapse things around him, make him have to see over the trees and make it hard for him to find stuff. So some of those situations, it can wear you out a little bit in the rush. I can do a better job in helping the guys with getting rotations in so we got guys fresher in the second half. So there's moments it was good, other moments where we can be a lot better. 8 quarterback hits, you'll take that every time. You get 8 hits a game, you're in the top 5 in the league at the end of the season. But obviously, a lot of people judge stuff off of sacks, and we want to get a couple more of those too.
With Jamal out, you guys are bringing Tanner up to be a part of your depth there at linebacker. What have you kind of seen from him? Has he been a part of your group and special teams and all that?
Tanner's a guy, again, energy, speed, ability to make the plays out in the open field, things of that nature. Had a really couple good stops in the Dallas game down in the red zone area too. He's done good stuff for us, and obviously he provides another quality depth veteran guy, but he's a baller on special teams. The big point here for special teams, if you're on defense, if you're not a factor on special teams, you're not going to have a place. Those guys take a lot of pride in, and that's how I feel about it too, supporting Izzo and Tracy. Those guys should be monsters on special teams.
With Woolen, the second PI, is he fast enough where the coaching point is just run that guy down when he's behind you?
Yeah, absolutely. Sometimes, when the ball's in the air, guys, the initial thing, sometimes guys panic, in those situations. I'm not saying that's what happened there, but things like that happen all across the league, and just for him to be able to settle his nerves down, and he didn't have to do that with anybody, especially on that throw.
I think you were in Chicago when Christian Jones was there as well.
Yeah, I had Cheese for 3 years.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, how can he fit into what you guys are doing here?
He can play OLB, he can play ILB for us, so he has great position flex to be able to provide some depth. And again, another special teams guy, smart football player. Cheese is a great dude. It's great having him.
Cheese?
That's his nickname, Cheese. You see that smile?
To be able to bring a guy in with 8 years of experience to kind of give you some depth there, how nice is that to have? Particularly somebody you have background with too.
Yeah, no, it's awesome. Especially he got us familiar with the system. He knows the defense. So that way it doesn't take a lot of time to get him up to speed. For the most part, most of the terminology and things like that is the same, so it should be a quick study for him.
Who gave him the Cheese nickname? Is that you?
No, I didn't give it to him. It was the veteran guys in Chicago that gave it to him, and it kind of stuck. And it doesn't bother him because he just continues to keep smiling.
With interior defensive linemen, we talk a lot about plays that don't show up on the stat sheet. The goal line stop, the big trying to force a fumble with Elwood, what he did in that play, is that kind of a perfect example.
Absolutely. There's a couple other plays too that Al made that is a definition of who he is and playing great run defense. But there's just some things with gap control and bumping with motions and leverages in the run game and things like that. We got a lot of corrections to make to get that stuff cleaned up in the game. But to talk about that point, yes, what Al did there, that's what he's shown us since he's been here with us. Big physical guy, resets the line of scrimmage and causes a lot of disruption.
What was it like for you, first time in a regular season game, calling plays? Did you find that there were any things that you just can't simulate in a preseason game?
The energy and the emotion of everything that's going on, the 12s were outstanding. I appreciate them. They're just as much a win of this as anybody else in this building. The 12s are incredible. But I would just say the energy and the feel of it obviously is a lot different than it was in the preseason. But I always try to keep myself focused and kind of stay in my lane or whatever the case may be. I never get too high, never get too low. Even if I get pissed off at something, I got to come off of it really quick because you got to get to the next call, or you got to have an answer when something goes wrong. So I just always try to stay in a happy plane.
How well could Jordan actually hear you?
Early on in the game, he could not. That was the opening drive. That was a little bit of the issue, was just actually hearing and getting the call in and some communication issues. And then after that, things kind of settled down. Because remember, that was his first time ever making a call in a live situation and whatnot. So, we kind of went through that. What I loved is, don't panic when things go on. The opponent sometimes is going to make a play. Sometimes you can make a mistake. But what you cannot let happen is let things turn into like just a windfall of issues. Just like we can't come back from that. Put it behind you, move on to the next play, and you just keep on stacking them and you'll be fine. So I love the composure that he showed and the rest of the guys through that because it was loud, super, super loud in that game.
Do you have a contingency plan for? You're going to be playing at Arrowhead. You're going to play at the Superdome. Do you have a contingency plan if you can't hear?
That's different. You enjoy the road because remember they get quiet for the opponent. It's when we're home is where we have to continue to crank up the noise with the music and things like that and make it really hard on the defense with changing up the tempos and things like that. So we're prepared for when we're playing at home because we're not. I want the fans to be as loud as they can possibly get. So I want them to keep going with that. We'll keep practicing situations to make it harder on our guys, and we'll get better and better at that.
Was there something different about the way you used Al the last time you played San Francisco? 13,
Yeah, there was last season we played them a little bit of the Big Five. We have five technique and things like that, what they like to do in the run game. They present a lot of different issues. They have unlike a lot of teams in the league, they have really good versatility in their run game with how they want to attack you. And the edges, gap scheme runs, wide zone runs, the whole deal. So obviously that's a hard man to move. So we like to kind of put him in positions and things like that to be able to help us. But we have a lot of big guys that's hard to move. So, we'll use our personnel accordingly.
How hard is it, how unique is it for Al to be able to just play the Big Five like that at his size?
He's a smart guy, so he can handle all the stuff and all the blocks. He's played more football probably than anybody in this building. So there hasn't been too much stuff that he hasn't seen. So he likes it sometimes.
This was a playoff game, but have you seen a team do something like put Trent Williams in motion before like they did in the...
No, usually you see something like that on the goal line. Somebody will put a big guy, back there to be a lead blocker or hand him the ball off and stuff like that. Trent's unique because of his athleticism and quickness and agility as a big offensive lineman, so you can do some stuff like that with him.
Has their run game schemes changed much at all? The little bit of stuff you've seen? How they've lost Mike McDaniel?
No, I would say the principles of it is the same. They're bread and butter runs, but obviously because of the quarterback and the type of athlete he is, he's different than Jimmy G. So you can run he's a legit running threat. So you just add the read element onto what they were already doing. So it just makes it a little bit more challenging because you got to be disciplined with your fits.
And you throw Debo in on top of that.
Absolutely.
They had a weird situation, obviously, with the rain and how bad that was. I guess what do you take out of their first game against Chicago with all that?
Obviously, you take the schematics and what the plan was going into the game. They can't change the scheme right before kickoff. You just see some of the issues they were having with footing and all those things of that nature. So you study the scheme, how they were trying to attack Chicago's defense, and you kind of keep it moving from there. Pass game and run game wise. But obviously, a lot of the execution issues on both sides of the ball, the weather was a major factor on both sides.
When Lance got his first extended play against you guys last October down there, but if I'm not mistaken, that was Jimmy G's game plan, so he was kind of freelance.
Yeah,
right?
they didn't have a chance to really throw too much together.
What you're going to see there?
Well, that game really wouldn't do anything because schematically we're different, than what we played in that game. And then obviously there's other games that he did have full game plans for when he played at Arizona last year. Obviously the Chicago game and other ones that he's had of last season just to get the collection of his stuff and what he does well and what they like to do with him.
Are any quarterbacks really good right-handed quarterbacks at throwing when moving to their left?
Aaron Rodgers. It doesn't matter where he goes. He can run him behind the water coolers. He can still throw the ball wherever he chooses. But for a lot of guys, most guys will struggle, but some is more often than others. And when you talk about the degree of struggling, if a guy's a 50% completion rate, it's kind of like somewhat, it's just okay. But now when you start talking about guys' completion percentages being in the 20s or low 30s and things of that nature, then that's what you want to kind of play to a little bit, and especially if the explosive passes and whatnot go down. We always do a big study. Our analytics teams does a great job of finding those details out.
So you guys pay attention to the numbers as opposed to just the anecdotal evidence that you see when you watch?
We look at the numbers and then we look at the video to confirm it.
With the stuff that the safeties have to do, deep half stuff or whatever, and then also in the flat, is there more responsibility on the safeties doing some other spots in the position?
Yeah, I mean, like I said, the safeties are the quarterbacks of this whole thing. You know, the communication and getting everybody on the same page. So there is a lot of responsibility on them. And how these guys play and, you know, the discipline we want them to play with obviously can vary on opponent. You know, you always adjust things based on who you're playing and the factor that you need them to have in the game plan.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate you guys. Take care.